Welcome to Classroom Crashouts, where you will find the funniest crashouts in the classroom. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to see more. Seniors from a high school out of Michigan were caught releasing 72,000 ladybugs for a senior prank.
Had to deploy half a dozen maintenance employees here to Chaptacon High School to clean up the mess made by the senior prank.
Me and 6 other people released 72,000 ladybugs into Chaptacon High School.
Now, how in the world do you acquire 72,000 ladybugs? Not only is that obviously a lot, but it's also an interesting number. How do you go about deciding on 72,000? Also, I'm curious, did they verify that they actually got the full 72,000? I guess these are questions we'll never get the answers to.
That was the 2015 senior prank at Chaptacon High School in St. Mary's County.
And we expect the senior pranks are going to occur this time of year.
The school district says the 7 students involved broke into the school at 3 a.m. last week to release those ladybugs. Those students now face criminal charges that could impact their plans after high school. Brian Reminga, who plans to enlist in the Navy, is the only senior who will also not be allowed to walk at graduation.
It's everything. I've worked 13 years for this.
I don't understand why he's the only one out of the group. He said there was 6 people involved. Why is he the only one that doesn't get to walk at graduation? Also, to be honest, I think that walking at graduation would be the least of my concerns in this situation. I'd be more concerned about the legal side of things.
Admittedly, Brian has previously had a few minor run-ins with trouble at school, though he says nothing serious. The school district says each student's punishment was considered individually. They say this prank may not have hurt anyone, but damaged property and cost the district dollars to clean up.
The biggest thing for me is 3 o'clock in the morning, forcible entry into the school building.
When he says forcible entry, I wonder, does that mean they threw a rock through the window? How did they get in there? Luckily for you guys, I used to be the true mastermind back in high school when it came to this type of stuff, and I think that the best way to go about it would have been to leave one of the windows unlocked. Assuming the teachers have to lock their windows when they wrap things up, you're going to want to stay later after class. Make sure you lock every single one except for one of them in the far back. This way it gets overlooked. The toughest part is trying to lock the windows and be discreet about it. Now, just for the sake of this video, I have to point out that I am not encouraging this. This would have just been a safer way for these students to go about this.
To take somebody's graduation away for something like this, I get it, but I don't.
Dr. Luann Logue is Brian's social studies teacher, and she describes him as a diamond in the rough, in the way that perhaps only a teacher can.
His prefrontal cortex may not be all the way developed, and when it is, he is going to do great things, but he is very impulsive.
That impulse may be costly.
Disappointing my family, my friends. It'd be awful.
I'm sure he did disappoint his family, but I'll tell you one thing, he definitely did not disappoint his friends.
When you work with him, he can be a great kid.
One who's asking for a second chance.
It was really wrong, and I really hope to be able to walk with my class.
A Wyant says that's unlikely.
If it's going to cause damage to the building, the property, or if they could potentially get hurt, we have to address those situations.
Now, it doesn't seem that Brian will be able to walk at graduation tomorrow, but he is receiving his diploma. I talked to a member of the county council here at St. Mary's tonight who says that the council itself, as well as law enforcement and various other bodies in the county, are working to hopefully find a middle ground in the hopes that this senior prank does not plague these students long term in their future.
All right, now just to analyze this really quick before I end the video, I think that the whole ladybug idea was a great idea. I think that's a pretty good one. You know, everyone goes in and just sees a bunch of ladybugs, although depending on how big the school is, it might actually not be as crazy as it sounds. Since they went in at 3 in the morning and school starts around 7 to 8 a.m., that gives those ladybugs a good 4 to 5 hours to really get moving. Plus, ladybugs are pretty tiny. It's not like they're releasing 72,000 rats. Now, don't get me wrong, they would definitely still be noticeable, but I think it just sounds crazier than it would be, although I have no idea. You know, I've never seen that. But something to keep in mind is that 6 people were able to bring all those ladybugs in, so you know, it can't be that much. Something these students didn't consider is that when you're releasing these ladybugs at 3 in the morning, the actual students, your peers, they're not even going to see it because the teachers will get there a couple hours before. I'd assume teachers probably get there around like 6:30. So a good hour before the students would get there, which is more than enough time to assess the situation. And obviously, you know, the school, I'm sure, was called off that day. So actually, these students only really pranked a handful of the staff rather than the entire school, which just hearing that is very disappointing. You know, you'd hope if you're going through all of that trouble and facing these consequences, that at least the other students would be able to get a laugh about it. So yeah, this goes to show if you're going to do a school prank, make sure you do it during school hours. Don't go there during the middle of the night because you know, it sounds good on paper, but realistically not going to work out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave your comments and thoughts down below, and like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and I'll see you in the next video.